And we are back. So I remember I looked at the freight market before I logged off, but I cannot remember if I actually found anything. Oh, hey, that actually looks like an interesting run. Hauling a construction scraper, like an earth scraper. 14, or yeah, basically 1,500 miles. Be a decently big payday and also take a fair amount of time. Yeah, I think we'll go for it. Let's set that as our destination. Confirm. All right. Yeah, right now it's basically just nose to the grindstone and get that loan paid off so that we can expand again. I'm going way wider than I meant to there. All right. Excellent. Green light. Man, I would love a wheel because it would make it a lot easier to be when driving around in small areas like this, where I don't need to, like I end up having to slow down more for corners than the truck actually needs, just because the controller that I'm using for it to not be twitchy when you're driving at higher speeds, what it does is it basically deadens the steering sensitivity the faster you go, which is a really good feature to have. It essentially makes it possible to drive with a controller when it wouldn't really be possible otherwise. But it does mean that if you're going with a little bit of speed, things don't work quite right. I guess it is this one right here. I think I see the, no, I don't actually see the scraper. I see equipment sitting around. I don't, we'll go with the blue trailer, obviously. Matches our truck. Okay, we'll take the job. I'm definitely not backing straight up to trailers a lot for hooking up. Now I'm kind of curious. I feel like I need to ask Juan and Jeff at some point if they make a point of actually coming up to a trailer nice and square, nice and like basically actually in line with it, or if the idea of hooking up at an angle is fine. Because I feel like in real life I prefer to back up square to the trailer, not because basically not because you can't hook up to it at an angle, but simply because if you make a habit of basically pulling up to it nice and square, you're going to be able to just back up to it and know. Basically, you're setting yourself up for the exact same situation every time. You're going to be able to replicate it a lot easier. Basically, the more you keep it exactly the way you've practiced it, exactly the way you've worked with it, the easier it is to be able to just pull up and go, yes, I know exactly. Like I know that I've put this exactly where I want to. This is going to be a bit of a long drive. The total delivery should take about 26 hours, so more than a full day's driving. We're gonna probably have to take 2 rest stops in that time, because I am 4 hours away from needing my first rest stop. I picked up the load relatively late in the day. Should take us through some interesting landscape, at least, though, because we're headed north and west. We'll end up in Washington, and I'm just biased because that's close to home country for me. I just like the landscape of Washington better than most of the states. Although this will probably take us through Utah, and southern Utah has some really beautiful landscape as well, so all of that'll be nice. So, you know, the land is very flat right here, but you're close to mountains. Basically, this is the mountains here are old, and the space between them has been filled up with nice flat land. It's funny, I grew up in the prairies, so when I moved from the prairies to the mountains, it was weird. It always was like I always felt slightly claustrophobic. You could just never see, you could never see the horizon. The horizon was always hidden. There was always something in the way. And it took me a long time to basically just feel comfortable with mountains around me the entire time. But now when I go to the prairies, they just feel too open. You can see the horizon. You can see like all of the horizon all the time, and that just feels wrong now. I've also been living in the mountains for, oh, I guess it hasn't been 20 years yet. It's getting close to it. I think I moved to BC in 2004, I think. Set my cruise control for 85 miles an hour, but I feel like that might actually be a bit quick on this road. This road's got a bit of a wind to it. So it's not really, I don't remember what town I actually started this in. I wasn't really paying attention, I think. I think we were south of Las Vegas. My brain for a second wanted to say LA, and it's like, nope. Very different places. Well, now that I think about it, I do find it kind of weird that Los Angeles gets shortened to LA. Las Vegas does not get shortened to LV. It's just Vegas. Hey, Michael, how's it going? And we are currently en route to Los Angeles. Oh yeah, no, we were, when I said we're south of Las Vegas, no, we are not. I thought I was in Prim. We were definitely not. We were in Tucson. Yes, and now I remember. Yes, we delivered a load to Tucson, so we're going to Phoenix, and then we head north from there. Then we're basically going to cut all the way up through Utah, up over Idaho. And that's with the way that the map used to be. If you had Arizona and Washington, you would essentially have to take these small roads over here to get up. Um, and like they weren't terrible, but like there's a reason why the game is prioritizing these big highways that cut through here. So the same run would take significantly longer. And that's where basically if I were to uninstall the Utah DLC, I could basically artificially increase the length of all the other runs because it would take you'd have to go around Utah all the time. 61 degrees with a sunny with winds up to 5 miles an hour. That actually sounds like a nice day. A little bit brisk, but I'm also a fan of what I would call brisk weather, so. Basically, I'd be happy to be on a motorcycle in that weather. 40 degrees, which is more or less what we're currently at, a little bit less though. 40 degrees is a little bit too cold for me to want to be on a motorcycle. Skunk in the factory today. That is not where I'd want a skunk. Oh, my dude's starting to get tired. It is also so it's 7 o'clock, so yeah. There's a reason why skunks are known for their bad smell. Having any sort of wildlife in a shop or in a factory or whatever is always less than ideal. Skunks are going to be more so. Yep. Yeah, and especially in a confined space, the smell of skunk can be really, really harsh. The smell is something that is designed to be so unpleasant that basically it keeps hungry predators from going after a skunk. So it's one of those things. It's not designed to be smell bad enough to be mildly inconvenient. It's designed to be smell so bad that predators just go, nope, I can't do this. And when you're competing with starvation, that means it has to be pretty intense. All right, I think that's going to be the place to go. I mean, we could make it a bit farther if we really wanted to, but I don't really see. Like we could, rather than stopping there, we could make it up to Flagstaff and then stop here, but that's like 2 hours away. No, we'll stop here. Yep, we want our lights on. So America's finest. Not sure what America's finest what? America's finest grain? So did you guys basically leave the factory when you got hit by the smell of skunk, or did you have to keep trying to work through the skunk smell? Obviously, be a little bit tricky because this is a big, like it's a relatively wide load. It's not huge, but it is big enough that it's going to make all this a little bit awkward. It is a long load. Okay, so the way this is set up actually is probably going to work really well for me. I can basically start coming in here as early as possible. And I don't really have to, like realistically this is a terrible, like I'm being a dick. Because while I am sitting here refueling, I am basically blocking access to, again, I'm still partway on the road, blocking off that entire side there. But with a setup like this, how do you not be a dick about it? There's not really a nice way to do this. No, I guess actually there is a nice way to do this. Also don't actually understand where that rest stop is. I thought it was just gonna be here on this side of the gas station here. It doesn't actually look like that's the case. Is it just pull into this really kind of sketchy looking motel parking lot? Yeah, it appears to be that's the case. Just, pull into the sketchy motel parking lot and sleep. I'm sure it's fine. Okay, now the easiest way to get out of here We will see if they let me get out of here the way I want. I kind of want to just drive along out the other side here. But I'm not actually sure it's going to let me do this. Nope. So these are solid for some reason. I did not get to drive through them. So I'm just gonna jackknife up this whole combination. And then we're gonna... So the neat thing about having a very articulated trail like this is you can do something like this where you are essentially jackknifing the whole thing. The trailer at the end is just going to slide along. This isn't healthy for it. This isn't great for it. But you need to turn around in a really tight space. You can totally just force it around. Have I ever thrown up on an empty stomach? Yes. Yes, I have. I have one time gotten food poisoning that was particularly unpleasant. And I basically spent about 36 hours. Oh, I did not actually clear that fence. They say that back there. Which the funny thing is where I've hit that fence there, if I was driving a big rig, you would see it, you wouldn't feel it. You would just tear that piece of fence away and not even notice. Basically, if that fence could have just broken, it would just be gone. There would be nothing stopping me from just ripping it all to shreds. So you'd have to be watching out for it. You would not feel it. But yeah, so I had, oh, dang it. I had food poisoning, and so basically I threw up for 36 hours. Like basically at the beginning it was probably like I was throwing up multiple times in an hour, even after I had nothing left to throw up. And at this point you actually start to throw up bile. Basically you start to throw up bodily fluids that are not, like basically you've thrown up all the contents of your stomach. You start to throw up any sort of body fluids that your body can basically expel through your stomach. Yes, I was throwing up bile for basically 36 hours. It was not a pleasant experience. Would not recommend. And that is actually if you eat poisons, that is the way your body will usually respond. Is you will start throwing up so bad that you will basically empty the contents of your stomach, and then still keep on vomiting. It was very much not it is not an experience I would ever wish on anyone. It was not pleasant at all. Let's pass the Sweet Beats truck and whatever's ahead of it. Synthetico? I couldn't read that truck because I was too busy trying to actually stay on the road, but synthetic something or so other than the skunk, your day was good? drive faster than this, but I feel like the roads are just a little too windy for me to get away with driving the speed I want to get away with driving. I feel like this, I don't want to carry too much speed into this corner. On account of like the fact that I'm hauling a lot of weight and all. That said, even though I'm going below speed, I'm definitely going way faster than that big rig, so can't complain. I am also, my truck has the biggest engine you can get in the game, so that does make this a bit easier. Which honestly makes perfect sense. Big rigs in the left lane are usually a massive inconvenience for everyone else. But they're motivated to do it because they get paid by the mile, so they don't necessarily care about the fact that they're being an inconvenience to everyone else. When being an inconvenience to everyone else is good for your paycheck, then people tend to be not the most caring individuals that they're capable of being. Yeah, it's funny. Even in a relatively small delivery truck where I'm basically hauling maybe 16,000 pounds at most of the time I'm hauling more, like with the trailer weight. Most of the time I was hauling about 12,000 pounds, so relatively light. That's, you know, stuff that's like heavy duty pickups can haul easily. I pretty much just wouldn't pass people. If traffic was slow, okay, then that's the speed I'm going. It wasn't worth pulling it to pass people most of the time. I'd say this is like weird. To me, this intersection right here is always just weird. I've taken this one a couple times and it just is always weird because the game, rather than just have me go straight through, always has me take this and then turn. Like the next time I notice this coming, I'm just going to go through here straight because I don't feel like this right here is worth it. Just stay on the highway, take this 90-degree corner, and go on your way. Because now I end up having to go through two stop signs. I think two stop signs. Either way, I have to go through two 90-degree corners to make this work. I mean, will the other one just pass me, stay on the highway? Seems like the better way. Despite what the GPS insists. Alright, so one stop sign and one red light. So I could have to stop here coming the other way as well. Still feel like I'm going to try the other way next time. Oh, light went green while I was waiting to see how traffic was. watch for high speed limits and stay out of left lane. Yep. But also, a lot of Texas highways, the left lane is not the only of 2 lanes. Texas has a lot of 3, 4, even 6 lane highways, so. And I imagine, like, so do you know what is Texas's widest highway? Like, how many lanes does it have it at its widest section? So I imagine there's probably sections of really wide highway. Because I can't imagine Houston and Dallas and Fort Worth not needing really, really wide highways to be able to move a lot of traffic. Yeah, 26 lanes. Being told to stay out of the left lane seems very reasonable on a 26-lane highway. On a 2-lane highway, or I guess a regular 4-lane highway, I can imagine it would be a bit frustrating. But if I have 3 lanes to work with and I can not go in the left lane, that honestly makes perfect sense to me. Like, there's a lot of up here we have a lot of HOV lanes. So the farthest left lane in a lot of cities is a high occupancy lane, so you can't go into it unless you're in a vehicle that has over a certain number of passengers, which means usually big rigs wouldn't be able to go into it anyway. And even if they can go into it, they probably shouldn't. We're just gonna go. The trailer's going over the middle of this, and there's no way around that. I think in real life, I would have probably just taken both lanes for that. I would have just gone, nope, I'm taking both lanes around this roundabout, and everyone else can just deal with it. It's the safest thing to do there. Alright. Well, there is no more left lane. There's just the lane. So hopefully traffic plays nice. Considering I'm behind a big rig, a cement truck, and another big rig, I don't think we're going to do this with any decent amount of speed, but whatever. It depends on the HOV lane. Some are like you basically have certain points where you can enter the HOV lane, and then it has a physical barrier, and it is literally built as its own piece of road that separates away from the highway. In some areas, it is just has markings that basically designates as an HOV lane, and in some places, it is really, really, really poorly built, and it literally just has a sign that says this is an HOV lane, and then is put on the rightmost side where going through a city you turn on and off, like basically you turn onto the road on that lane and exits the road in that lane. But that just happens to be probably the worst HOV lane I have ever seen, and I will complain about it nonstop. That's the city of Kelowna it has some really bad traffic, and they've seem to always found the thing to do to make traffic worse. Like the highway that goes through the city is just, it has so many red lights. There's no overpasses or underpasses. It is all just flat highway. And so every city block, it has a red light. So it's already very slow to get through. And then to try to make it better, they basically decided that the rightmost lane would become the HOV lane. They didn't have a good spot to put an HOV lane, but if they were going to, the left probably still made more sense. But yeah, they decided to make the right lane the HOV lane. And I think pretty much the people who live in Kelowna just ignore it. I just don't think there's any point of them even like pretending it even exists. They drive in it when they're the only people in their vehicle, as if it wasn't there, because why bother acknowledging it? But yeah, HOV lanes can vary a lot here. Although the HOV lanes here are always only a single lane. I know down in some of the bigger cities you can get more than one HOV lane, or you can get the express lanes. Actually, let me mute that. It's been nice and quiet this morning, but this way we'll just stop it from suddenly blowing up. I find it very distracting when my computer starts suddenly dinging at me constantly. I'm trying to decide whether the texturing on this rock is nice and realistic or if it just looks like bad rock texture. I feel like it was getting nicer as we got closer to it. It was getting less suspicious as being bad texturing. Yeah, okay. Mostly we have switched direction lanes, although those are the only place I've really seen them around here is for going across bridges. So there was the bridge on that basically crosses into Kelowna used to be a switch direction bridge. So in the morning it had an extra lane coming into Kelowna. In the evening it had an extra lane leaving Kelowna. Although they rebuilt the bridge and then it's now fixed. It's got 2 lanes going in, 3 lanes leaving. Basically, that came down to is that the number of lanes going in wasn't a problem. Like Kelowna didn't care about how many lanes could get into the city. They cared more about how many lanes could leave the city because that affected Westbank more than them. So they had a switch. Basically, the middle lane would switch direction depending on time of day, and then there's a bridge in Vancouver that will switch its central direction on the basically from morning to afternoon based on the flow of traffic. This is a terrible view spot. There's no way we're getting in here with any amount of grace. We're gonna stop and we're gonna hit up the viewpoint. Yeah, I know you're honking at me because I'm blocking the road. It's entirely fair, but also the game gave me a view spot. Gotta stop and look. I wasn't paying attention at the beginning. I don't actually know what this dam is called. And I imagine there's probably also actually a view point at the Grand Coulee Dam. That is the largest dam that's close to where I live. And it's in central Washington. I hear someone still honking. It's a long cutscene. There's nothing I can do about it. I kind of feel that it's interesting that they have this big bridge that goes across where the goes across right near the dam. Rather than basically build it in conjunction with the dam, these are two totally separate things. Like, I think it would be beneficial to have sort of built it using the same infrastructure, but wait, did I just... Alright. I just basically hit nothing. That's fine. Not a big deal. That's normal. Just hitting nothing is fine. This is actually quite a beautiful area, the valley right there. Because you've got this nice plateau to look out over the valley from. So, and we're entering Utah. I do wish this view like snapped around a little bit less. But I feel like the faster you go, the more it kind of snaps around oddly. I was kind of hoping to get a shot of the big rig kind of going between some aggressive hills, but I may not. I may have missed my good opportunity there. I wish they had a like helicopter view option where basically you had the camera sort of circle the big rig from high up. Alright. No, did not mean to pause that. There. Say slower traffic, keep riding. That probably means me. Definitely did not build up the speed when I had the chance. Kanab, Utah. Definitely not a town I've actually ever heard of before. Definitely seems like a very small little American town. That's one thing I find interesting is in most places, big cities just feel like big cities. There's no, like, big cities don't really feel different to me in America than they do in Canada or elsewhere. But small towns always just seem very uniquely, they always seem very unique to their geographical location. Like small towns in the prairies are very different than small towns out here in the mountains, which are very small, different than like small towns down in the American South, which are different than small towns in Europe. And I imagine all the small towns in Europe are very different based off of where in Europe they are. As definitely, I'm like, it seems like this is definitely a road I've never taken before, and just seems like a weird deal. But we've gone from we're basically headed from Page over to St. George, and then we're headed north. Don't think this is a route we've ever taken before. I mean, it's an interesting one. Because once we get to St. George, I think then we won't be on big highways for a while. But right now we're all on small little 2-lane roads. And then I'm always split. Like part of me is like, well, this doesn't seem like the most efficient way to do this. We could have stayed on bigger highways. That would be the more efficient way to do this, I would think. And on the flip side, this is a path I haven't taken before, so I am happy to be able to take a path that is a little out of the way from what I would normally take. Oh, I need to scrub a lot of speed there. And that's the big highways don't have basically don't drop you into a tiny little town and then suddenly give you a 90-degree turn to navigate. And I think it's one of the most challenging things in this game is navigating weird intersections without basically turning it into a problem. just, that's a very weird, like, very steady hill. It's just one of those land formations that looks like, I don't doubt that that's realistic, but it's one of those things where you see that sort of hill in real life and you go, that looks fake. That looks like something a model, basically someone doing like model railroads would do for landscaping. I'm always amused when you do hit landscapes where you look past it and you're like, that looks like someone was making, like, basically making a landscape and they got lazy. That's what that looks like. But the way we think of a landscape being natural isn't the only way a natural landscape forms. So sometimes you get some very interesting formations. Oh, that is a weird runaway ramp. I don't feel like that's placed very well. It would be very hard to get into that one. Sorry, car. Just needed to borrow your space a little bit. Perfect timing, green light. Perfect timing. It's weird how you have that, like, that front facade look here. Definitely feel like this is giving us a very different view of Utah than we have had on prior runs through. It's definitely still giving me more of the look of, I would love to explore Utah some. Actually seems like a very nice place. Mind you, it seems like a very nice place geographically. I don't really know that much about what there is to do in Utah for entertainment and how the people are. I've heard lots about Southern hospitality. I haven't heard a lot about Utah hospitality. Well, I need to get in that right lane, but also I've put myself in a predicament of I may just need to pump the brakes and let this big rig pass me. Alright, let's try to get our speed back up for hitting the highway. We're probably not really going to do it effectively, but we will try. Nope. Can't maintain 30 miles an hour. We are dropping speed. But luckily we should be able to merge into that. There's nothing, the traffic's not heavy here. And I predict the rest of this is going to be relatively clear driving on highway for a while. It's going to break up a bit again when we get over towards Washington, but for now this should be nice, simple highways. assume we've got to have a gentle uphill. So we're not losing. No, no, they were losing a bit of speed. We're mostly managing to hold speed though. It's just enough that we're not stalling out, but we're having a hard time. Basically, we're not making it to speed limit anytime soon. That's for sure. We'll need a bit of downhill to help us get us there. This is definitely a stretch of highway that we have been over several times. The stretch going north of Cedar City is something I'm actually starting to get pretty familiar with. It seems like if you're a truck driver in western US, and you're going on long haul, Utah might be the efficient way to connect things. That or this game is lying to me because it's bringing us through Utah a lot. It seems like Utah is central enough and it has big highways going through it that allow you to sort of. It doesn't quite matter what the even if the quickest way as a crow flies would skip Utah entirely. It seems to be faster to go through Utah anyway. Picked up a lot of speed. We're still not even at speed limit. Takes a long time to get a load this heavy moving. Some point here I'll be tempted to try to pass this big rig, but I am still not even at speed limit. It's still 10 full miles below speed limit. And it looks like we've got construction hitting us, so it'll be another big long push to try to get up to the speed limit once we're through here. Alright, well we still have 14 and a half hours of driving, but we've got less than 3 hours left before we need a rest stop. So let's see where. That's probably going to be too far. Yeah, it's 4 hours away. I feel like that is such a weird loop around that doesn't actually save us any time. Where that right there is probably the best way to do this. Basically get off. Let's not go that way. We want to go this way. There, so that's 3 hours away. That seems like that's probably the best deal. Pulling it to pass, even though we are going to be holding up traffic doing it. I kind of wish the game gave me the option to have basically radar cruise control, so that it could just automatically slow down when traffic in front of me slow down. That's one of those things. Radar cruise control is basically one of those pieces of technology that has hit vehicles where I went, yes, I absolutely want this in my vehicle. A lot of the new technology, I'm not necessarily a big fan of it. Like when ABS came in, I'm a fan of ABS. ABS is good. I like it. I like retaining control of my my car while under heavy braking. But stuff like the lane keep assist, I don't necessarily think the technology on its own is bad, but I think some really bad design choices have happened with it. Like the way that most cars currently have their lane keep. Oh no, yeah, I just ran that car off the road. That's what just happened. That was bad decision making. I thought they were farther behind than they were. It didn't become apparent where they were compared to my trailer until I was already. Basically, I'd already moved over and was already. Front of me and me was beside this vehicle, and my back end was already like basically starting to swing over. That was a bad, reckless lane change. But yeah, like lane keep assist. The beef I have with lane keep assist comes down to is most car companies have it so if you just take your hand off the steering wheel, the car is fully capable of staying between the lanes. That's actually pretty cool. Now, it doesn't want you to be basically just sitting in the driver's seat with your hand off the wheel. It's not self-driving. It's just a assist to keep you between the lines. The fact that it can navigate you around corners because it's trying to keep you between the lines and the lines are curving is kind of incidental. It's not there to drive for you, just there to make driving easier. Well, that's fine. But my entire thing is if you're sitting there late at night and you're driving and your car doesn't really require any input, it makes it easier to fall asleep, which is whatever, it is what it is. And so you fall asleep at the wheel. And at that point, you stop holding onto the steering wheel and the car goes, well, we want you to hold basically, I'm going to give you an alert. And you need to hold on to the steering wheel. And you don't hold on to the steering wheel. What it does is the lane keep assist will stop working. It'll basically kick off the lane keep assist so that the car will no longer keep you between the lanes. But if you're sitting there with cruise control on and lane keep assist on, the lane keep assist will kick off, but the cruise control will stay on. So you're still locked at the speed you were doing, but the car will now refuse to keep you between the lines. So you're just going to, like, if you fell asleep at the wheel, you're just going to drive off the road at whatever you set your cruise control to. I'm like, that's dumb. My entire thing is if the car basically goes, nope, you are not keeping your hands on the steering wheel, what it should do is kick off cruise control and basically very gently apply the brakes and put on like four-way flashers. And if you continue not putting any input on, just come to a stop in the road with four-way flashers on. Because that would be a much safer thing than just literally turning off the thing keeping you on the road, but keeping everything else that's going to keep your speed up still going. So I just feel like it's like someone just didn't sit down and go, what are the implications of what we're doing here? And you got these like $1 million into car development, and really simple questions never got asked. It just drives me nuts. So, and also lane keep assist is one of those things where it's really kind of neat, but every once in a while, like the road line will become obscured or something will happen, and the car kind of panics, and it will make a sudden adjustment to lane position. Like for one time, I've had it try to swerve into the other lane because basically the line on the left side, as on the left lane, the line on the left side of the highway became obscured, so it veered towards the right. But there's another lane with cars in that lane, and it veered towards that lane, and I'm like, this doesn't feel safe. And I don't drive, like, I don't own a vehicle with lane keep assist. It's not something I want in a vehicle. And if I owned a vehicle with it, I think I'd probably just turn it off and forget about it. But I've driven enough of them that I've kind of got a feel for how most of them move, and I don't like that technology yet. I feel like there would have been better ways to apply it, and a lot of work could go into making it better. But as it is, it has not been super impressive. Yeah, welcome back for your nap there, Michael. A very simple sunset, but kind of beautiful sunset nonetheless. Of course, it's hard to stay in my lane and look at the sunset. Also, cars are slowing down in front of me. Why? Oh, I guess I am speeding. Okay. We are going to go back into first person before I crash. Oh man, I was not paying attention. That was my exit. Oh, yeah, but that barely matters. But we do need to make that next exit. Alright, that should be simple enough. We just need to get ourselves over to the right side of the road. Oh yeah, I grew up in a farm. There was definitely skunks in the area. I have smelt the skunk many times, and I have never appreciated the smell of a skunk. Not even once. Yeah, I that's the thing for me. I'm like, I don't think I could. I like when I go to bed, I can usually fall asleep really quickly. When I'm taking a nap, that does not apply. If it's not the normal time I fall asleep and it's not dark and quiet, there's not a chance I'm falling asleep. So yeah, your ability to just have a nap is something I lack. Kind of went over the line a little bit. I've always sucked at coloring inside the lines. So we're going to stay left as we need to make a left off of this road. But we're probably going to have to end up claiming both lanes unless there's a dedicated turn lane. I can't remember what the intersection is like here. Alright, so we do have a dedicated turn lane, but basically I'm going to end up taking the left lane and the turn lane. Long load and all that. Alright, we've got our advanced green. Now this is a relatively narrow road, so I'm going to have to be careful about taking my corners here. Now, I feel like I can claim extra lanes on that side of the turn, so this isn't going to be bad. Yes, I know I'm getting tired. I'm pulling into where I want to. Do my rest stop. It's a relatively wide load to pull through here, but it should still work. I shouldn't have to back this up. Okay, yeah. So we clear the load fully in every direction. That is good. And that's the back trailer. I love that the tiny back trailer just never has a problem clearing anything. It is actually very nice. Okay. I'm actually going to take this moment to to take a quick break. I will be right back. So I'll just leave it here for a moment and I'll be back in a moment. And I am back. And we hit the road again. Hit the road again and hope the road doesn't hit back. I'm kind of considering actually buying the garage here in Salt Lake City. I feel like that might end up actually being a good garage to buy. Just gonna quickly run the red light here. It's not like anyone can come from the left anyway. Now is the train by? Or is the train still on its way? So I have the train still on its way right there. Oh, that was a short train. I was kind of hoping for a longer train, to be honest. So I've got to kind of jump onto basically the eastbound highway and then jump onto the northbound highway in rapid succession here, but it should be an easy little transition. Definitely a steep enough hill to give me some serious trouble. Wouldn't be so bad if I had some speed going up to it, but it takes a while to build up speed and that hill comes too quick. I kind of want to go wide left to give me the space. Got that stupid old truck there. So I'm just gonna have to take this nice and slow and take all the space I can. Kind of wanted that speed for coming down this way, but we get what we get. And here we basically just stay to the right because we're going to be immediately turning off of this highway. Although I guess this highway doesn't continue east. We basically, our choices here are either take the exit to get us going north or the exit to get us going south. That is all. So I'm kind of grateful that like like basically the streets that you can end up going on for any of the big cities are actually pretty limited. I've heard enough stories of having to make big rig deliveries in like downtown Vancouver, downtown Seattle, places like that where it's like this is just not. These are terrible locations to have to drive a big rig. So I'm kind of grateful that the game doesn't like. There's no point where the game basically goes, yes, you need to deliver this trailer into like the back alley in a busy city. There are times that kind of start to getting that place, but it's not ever as bad as actually being a city alley. Definitely some of the delivery sites though, you basically are in there dropping off a trailer, and it takes some thinking of how to actually get the trailer into the right spot. It's less of a problem when you've got an articulate trailer like this, because then they will never make you back it up. All right, we're gonna go to the middle lane because we've got a bunch of big rigs coming in on the right. And while we haven't managed to make it up to speed yet, they are also relatively heavy loaded, so it'll take them a while. I do know that like the engine I've got in this is pretty, like it's a good engine. It is really a good engine. I would never like if I was driving big rig for real, I'd probably never complain about this engine. But it's a video game. I kind of wish they gave you some better options. I kind of wish there was something later to unlock where you get kind of ridiculously powerful engines. Nothing unrealistic, but definitely stuff that kind of pushes the limit of what is worthwhile to have in a big rig. Because having the bigger engine, of course, would ruin your fuel consumption, but we're making so much money that fuel consumption is like, there's a reason why I've never leveled up the like fuel consumption perk that basically reduces the amount of fuel you use. Fuel is just such a small, like it's such a small part of what you're paying to maintain your vehicle that it just doesn't matter. I mean, I have definitely had clothes that have been sprayed by a skunk that it honestly wasn't worth washing the smell of skunk out of the clothes. It was easier to just throw away the clothes. You can get the smell of skunk out. Tomato juice is kind of one of those things that will, if you wash whatever it is in tomato juice, that will basically neutralize the agent a lot. Or you can just basically air out the article of clothing for a long time, like weeks. But it will eventually air out. But yeah, no, you're not going to want to wear the clothes that you got that got sprayed by a skunk for quite a while. And you're not going to really want to wear the skin that got sprayed by a skunk for a while either. You just don't have a choice in that one. Alright, so now the delivery is going to be about 10 hours, and we've got 12 hours before we need our rest stop. So it'll probably do the delivery and then go to bed. And we'll see what options we have for deliveries in the morning, or for pickups in the morning. Well, that might be a tomorrow stream problem. By the time we get to our destination, it'll probably be relatively late. So come on, car, what are you doing? Just hanging out behind that big rig. You should be passing him. You were driving faster than us. I like that logo, Heartwood Furniture. And there's 2 chairs and a table. So where exactly am I? Okay, we're in southern Idaho, because I'm like the landscape here is starting to remind me of Montana. We shouldn't be going into Montana, but southern Idaho. This does still feel right for southern Idaho. Actually, I want to go to I want to do a trip to Idaho again. Idaho has Silverwood, which is a really nice amusement park. It's not super big, it's fancy. It's not a Disneyland. It's not done anything quite like that, but it's a amusement park that and a water park, and I really like it, and I want to go to Silverwood. I don't know if that'll happen this summer. This summer is going to be a bit of a weird summer, but I think I want to do it soon. I'm not sure what's going there on the side of the road. Oh, a bus pulled over. Oh, good thing I can bypass that scale because, well, I'm doing it. Glad I got permission to do what I'm doing anyway. I'm sitting here doing 90 in a 70 zone. Well, not 90, but like 87. I think we can slow her down just a little bit. 80 in a 70 zone seems much more reasonable. Yeah, I don't imagine animal control gets called to factories all that often. Animals usually do their best to stay out of big, loud buildings like factories. But every once in a while they end up there. Alright, well we're clear, we're going left. We ain't waiting for you slow people to catch up speed. We didn't scrub speed. It's absolutely my preferred way of doing it. Slow down as little as possible. It takes me forever to speed up, so I don't want to slow down when not needed. So I've definitely been thinking about a while ago. I played Elite Dangerous, and I've been thinking about it for a bit now. Like one of my favorite things to do in Elite Dangerous was essentially play Space Trucker. Just pick up cargo from one area and deliver it somewhere else. And I think it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I should go back and do that. And I'm like, you know what? As much as I really liked that game, the trips from point to point were kind of boring because it just opens space between places. You're just jumping from one star to the next, which is fine. That's a cool way to handle space travel. But it is just basically you jumping through a short series of what's essentially loading screens. It might look fancy with you like zooming towards the next star, but it's just it's a loading screen. And the only parts of that were actually like fun and exciting were the parts where you're like landing your spaceship at landing your spaceship at the end of your journey or taking it off at the start of your journey. All the rest of it was kind of boring filler. Whereas like with American Truck Simulator, yes, backing a trailer into a location is fun, and like trying to get it out of location and like dealing with fuel stops and rest stops, all that. Can be kind of fun, but the actual like you're driving over a landscape that's constantly varied. Everything's always different. There's always something to look at. And I think that's what makes American Truck Simulator such a good game. Whereas something like Elite Dangerous, it's not just a space trucking game. You can go out mining asteroids. You can go blowing up pirate ships or go hunt aliens or whatever it is. There's other things to do. But the thing that I kind of wanted to do with it was essentially play Space Trucker, and it was just, while it was not, it was fine. It was actually enjoyable. But it just can't get the same sort of experience you can get playing a game like this. Now it's just too sad, too bad, because the one thing that Elite Dangerous did that I absolutely still am in love with is they made it possible to play a game that has more like simulation type controls. Wow, oh, you dick. Basically had more simulation style controls. It was definitely not a simulation game, but it had more simulation style controls. But it let you like map a lot more things to the controller than this game does. Like I would love, instead of having just every button does one thing, have it be like if I press and hold X, like if I press X, it does whatever it is that X does. But if I press and hold it, now I get to like press another button like press on the D-pad, in addition to that, to now do a different thing. Basically, you can, like, between the D-pad and the face buttons, you've got 8 buttons. You've got 8 different things you can do there. But the way they did it is now if you press and hold that, now you add 4 more things. So you end up at, instead of having 8 things you can do, oh, slow and pain, installment paid. Instead of having 8 things you can do, you are now looking at being able to do 24 things off of the same number of buttons. And it doesn't like have to be like obviously all the things you're going to hold to the alternative buttons are not going to be things you need in a hurry. But stuff like I think X button right now. Actually, I can press right now. So like Y disconnects the trailer. I cannot remember for the life of me what X does right now. But like B basically cycles the. X does cruise control. Like, but it could be I could have like tap X to have cruise control come on just like it does right now. But if I like press and hold X, have it so that if I press and hold X, then press up on the D-pad, I basically move my cruise control setting up. And just simple things like that would make this game a lot better to like drive with a controller. Still, the ideal way to play it would be with a wheel. Same way Elite Dangerous, the ideal way to play it would be with a flight stick. But the fact is, like, most people have a controller. Especially if you're on console, you have a controller guaranteed. But buying dedicated controller for this is going to be a lot more rare. So giving more options for it would be pretty fantastic. This is why I think it's important for game developers to play other games, to come across things like that and go, hey, this would be really cool. We should do this in our game. Here I am again, hanging out in the left lane. Currently not holding up traffic, so I don't feel too bad about it, but also I don't actually support the idea of big rigs just hanging out in the left lane needlessly. Like, I am passing people here, but also not passing people at the speed. Actually, mind you, I'm doing 10 over, so if I was in a car, this is actually probably very close to the speed I'd be doing. Whereas if I was in a real big rig, I probably wouldn't be doing 80 in a 70 zone. I'd probably be doing like 72. Hey Jedis, how's it going? I'm having a good day, and I hope I'm hoping you're having an all right day as well. All right, going in left lane again, making pro-life choices. Your day's going okay? Well, I'm glad to hear your day's at least going okay. So now, Michael, when I was working as a flat rate mechanic and basically I was working really hard for a 9 or 10 hour day, I actually got really good at taking naps. But the way it would really work is I would come home after a day working, sit down and try to play some video games to try and do it before doing anything else, and then fall asleep with the controller still in my hand. Basically, I wouldn't actually get anything. I wouldn't actually get the chance to play video games, but just as soon as I sat down and it was like I could kind of relax, my brain just sort of shut off and I'd fall asleep. But then I'd usually wake up and I'd be stuck in the what year is it sort of haze of waking up from a nap. I didn't wake up because I don't wake up from naps very well. I'm always confused as to what's going on. My body wants to sleep. That's a very brown river we're next to there. It's not a bad looking river. It's actually a kind of nice looking river, but it is very brown. Mind you, everything around here is very brown. The only thing that's not brown around here is the sky. Probably shouldn't have pulled out to pass, because now I'm stuck in the left lane, going slower than everyone else. Oh, good thing the cops don't actually come out and pull you over. Otherwise I'd have to explain to this guy why I'm simultaneously speeding and yet also holding up traffic. So I'd make a joke about how that would be a Succo truck, but it's too bright green. I'm trying to think. I think Juan has a Succo truck in, like a skin to make his truck a Succo truck in this game. It's been a while since we played Convoy, so I forget. I know he's thinking about buying the DLC and playing American Truck Simulator again a bit. But I think he's also going to wait for the DLCs to be on sale, which we've got a Steam sale coming here in a couple days. A nice little train. That's a pretty long train. I guess the trains are, I think they make the trains a lot shorter when they actually cross the road, just to keep you from waiting at an intersection too long. Because the way the game deals with time, if you actually had to deal with like wait for a train for that was a realistic length, it would take up probably like a couple hours of in-game time. That was not nice. Too fast in a windy area. Got my my trailer. Basically, I think the back of that trailer The tires got up on that barrier. Bad driving. Bad driving. Now, see, what you forgot is this is YouTube, and you can totally cuss here. Juan's relatively strict about cussing in his trucking channel. I guess, no, YouTube is weird about cussing. Like, it kind of cares about it, but also doesn't really care about it. Back in this lane. Just need to relax and enjoy the drive. And not do things like slam into the barrier. Yeah, that did some damage to my trailer. And it's fine, it's not a big deal, but yes, is something I should have just slowed down and been more careful in that windy section. Like those wide open southern highways are making me complacent, making me think that I can get away with more speeding than I can actually get away with. So when I first started, I was either driving speed limit or I was speeding over by about 5 over. Now I'm pretty consistently going at least 10 over, possibly more. Some of these highways here, mind you, this is only when I can actually get the truck up to a high enough speed. They've let me bypass every scale today. That's kind of weird. But yeah, there's times I've caught myself basically doing like 20 or 25 over. Definitely speeding a bit more than I should be. And once again, I should just slow down for that guy. What am I actually going to do? 100% not that. Okay, so where is this? West of Pendleton. I want to check out what the roads are like there in real life, because this seems like a really nice windy section of road. It reminds me a lot of a particular stretch of road we have in southern BC. That is actually a really nice, enjoyable section of road. It's a bit long to go for a motorcycle ride just to hit this like section of twisty roads. But at the same time, it's also a really nice section of twisty roads. I'll have to see if it's like that in real life. We'll just stay behind this truck. Being in a rush has not done me any favors the rest of the way, so we'll just relax a bit. I do love how like the landscape here just changes from like brown to green. It's like it was just painted, and I suspect that's exactly what it is. Is their brush for basically painting in the landscape. They just basically brushed over and went, "Yep, good enough." It might be like that in real life too, where it just goes like, here's the line where it's basically brown and dead and dry, and here's where it's green and lush. Jeff, you'll have to remind me which in the current setup I have right here, what is the booster? Is because I think the booster is the if I had to guess right now, I'd say I would think that the booster is the one that's between the trailer and the truck, and honestly, no, I can't remember. I can't remember what the back one would be called at that point. Oh, no, let's set the cruise again. I forget what this what the bits of this configuration are called. Because I know you've got your Jeep, yes. So Jeep is between the truck and the trailer, and then the booster is the booster is the end. Like the fact that it's called a Jeep just doesn't actually make any sense to me. And I also don't actually understand why the Jeep is actually there. Like I understand that it is going to basically distribute the load out wider. And I guess no, it's the fact that it's 3 axles where the back of my truck is 2 axles, and also I'm already going to have more weight on those 2 axles than the Jeep is going to have. So no, okay, fine, it makes sense. But I have to admit, I like the boosters. The boosters are the fact that the booster turns in a tighter radius than the trailer right in front of it always baffles me a little bit. Basically, the back end of that trailer, those tires there, seem to almost cut a wider corner than the booster right behind it. Or at the very least, it might not be the fact that they come in tighter. They certainly don't go. Yep, you're right, Michael. I called it out. Now I have to go into the next scale. I'm sure the scales don't mind you, just like your vehicle's not in perfect technical state. Be more careful next time. That is fair. I did hit a barrier. I should be more careful next time. Wait a minute. So I've been through that scale a bunch of times. I have never passed by that scale. I have been pulled into that scale every single time? No, I've never been along this road going north before. This section over here is not marked. So no, I've never actually taken this north before, so I've never been through this scale before. All right, I retract my complaint. Yeah, there are times where you like tune into a live stream and it doesn't tune you into the live part of the stream, which confuses me. But I still remember having I should ask Juan and Jeff, and then by the time where I actually would do such a thing, I would have long forgotten. So you were basically you were more helpful watching old footage than you were actually watching the current stuff, because the current stuff was me just being a terrible driver. I didn't need a trucker's I don't need a trucker to tell me that basically blasting through a windy stretch of road at high speed and basically basically getting the trailer bounced up on the barrier is bad. I did not die. And I also didn't kill anyone else, so we're still doing all right. Yeah, that is right. So, but that's the way it works, Michael, isn't it? You draw attention to it. You say, "Hey, this is what's going on, and then the next one, yep, you're getting pulled in, or maybe you're not. I actually wonder what the odds of being pulled into a scale in this game are. Like, is it 50-50 or is there some other percentage? Does your chances of getting bypassed on a scale go up if you've been called into the scale prior? I don't know. The math on this game could just be as simple as you come up to a scale, they flip a die, like they flip a coin and decide to pull you in or not. Or there could be some really complex math behind it that tries to make it feel fair and realistic. Which, in my personal opinion, fair and realistic are usually at odds with each other. So maybe you might not be able to aim for both of those. I mean, I've played this game that way before, where I've just been like, screw the scales, and just like speed past them as fast as I can. Um, but I do feel like a game like this, at some point, if you're playing this game that way, at some point it starts to feel like maybe I should just not be playing this game. Maybe I should go play some like Grand Theft Auto. If I'm going to drive it like it's stolen, I may as well play the game that lets me steal big rigs instead. I guess I could slow down a little bit more for coming to Yakima, especially since my stop is coming up over on the right really quick here. No, I have never seen an episode of My 600-Pound Life. All right, now hopefully, since have this like ridiculous articulated load, they don't make me try to back it up anywhere, because that would just be cruel and unusual. I'm sure there's a few people who have the skill to just back this right up, but that is not a skill I have. That's not a skill I want to learn. It's one of those things where it would take so much time and energy for something that I can't imagine anyone would actually like use consistently. Basically, the person who builds these trailers, they would probably use the skill of backing it up nicely, and they are the only person. All right, now did I do this well enough? I think we're gonna get the, yeah, right there. All right. I do hate that that camera view is so finicky, but that is it. Load, load delivered. Okay, yeah, I guess it's the, because I'm trying to think, because the, yeah, you don't have to just think about overall weight of the load. You have to also think about how is that weight going to be distributed. Because none of that weight's really going to be on those rear axles. It's going to be split between the trailer axles and whatever's in front of it, which would be your drive axles. So you put the Jeep in there, and that takes that away. Yeah, okay, that makes a ton of sense. All right, so if I have 200,000 and I take out as much as I can, I am going to be really just a little bit shy of being able to actually pay off. Yeah, so that's the most I can take out. I am basically 20,000 shy of actually being able to pay off my $400,000 loan. Let's see what the freight market has available from Yakima. I could take a harvester down to Bakersfield, California. I feel like that'd be an interesting drive, but that would be a longer drive than I want to do today. There's also a nice long run that way. So actually, let's see, what's the longest run I could do? Really, from here, the longest run I can do is... No, that seems wrong. This is... Yeah, that makes more sense. The longest run I could do right now is 1,250 miles, which is a decently long run. It would take me through that same set of tight corners after Pendleton. Meanwhile, the shortest drive actually available from here is 1,192 miles, which is kind of ridiculous. That doesn't seem right because that's where, yeah, there's something going on wrong here. So if I set it by distance, it's telling me this is one of the shortest distances wait, and there's longer distances I can go. I am so confused as what's going on. I have it set to organize by distance, but I have this one for 1,192 and then this one for 1,500. Takes me basically straight across the currently available map. And then you have this one for 500 next to those. Yeah, it's not actually organizing by by destination, not by distance. I just am an idiot who can't read. That's the problem there. So the longest run I can do is 1,512. The shortest run I can do is 382. That makes a ton more sense. I actually kind of want to deliver the concrete tubes just for the novelty of delivering concrete tubes. It's a high priority delivery. It doesn't pay a lot per mile. And I am still a wee bit caught up in cost per mile. I mean, then again, it's not bad either. $39 a mile was great early on. It's just now that I have options that pay me more than that, that makes it seem less ideal. Okay, well, we have some money, and do you know what I'm gonna do with it? I'm gonna upgrade the trucks that my dudes are driving. Let's upgrade that truck. I really don't think this makes a difference at all. Like, I don't think them having bigger fuel tanks or a more powerful engine or a better sleeper makes a difference. And I know for a fact that them having basically fake wood interior is not making a difference, but they're still going to get it. Want want them all to be driving good trucks. Basically, just more or less mirroring their trucks to my truck, so they get the same basic setup that I do. And that should be it. Confirm that order for $90,000. We'll do another one, and then no, don't relocate, and then we'll be out of money. This is definitely one of those things that would be a lot easier to just go, yeah, I'll equip everyone out in these really nice trucks because I'm not going to have to replace these trucks in 2 years. Mind you, yes, even with the game time happening the way it does, where game time happens a lot, like is advanced a lot from real life, we're still not like we're not going to play this game for 3 years. Realistically, to build up this sort of actually, let's just take it a loan. Just take it $100,000 loan, manage truck, and we'll upgrade that last truck. Then all of our trucks, oh, yeah, okay. All of our trucks will be fully upgraded. So the reason why my truck is just blue is because I think this is a really pretty blue. I could go for blue and orange, but I think it's just a really pretty blue. And that is you can, when you buy a new truck, you can actually, you don't have to go through and custom order it. You can basically match it to something you already have in your fleet. So the easier way to do this would be to actually trade in these old trucks and just buy a new truck in the configuration of the one truck that I've already configured. I'm kind of sad you can't just auto configure trucks to be identical to another one. There, that should be 5 identical trucks. And at some point, I'm probably going to buy something not identical. I'll probably buy some other brands and get some unique. Oh, wait. So the features are talking about being able to easily just copy one to another. Yeah, that that's what copy configuration does. Neat. Yeah, this is what you get for not actually looking at all the options and reading and seeing what things do. You make choices based off of it and then feel like an idiot. But it's okay, feeling like an idiot is a natural part of life. But yeah, either way, I do appreciate having those features. I just appreciate them even more if I took the time to read them before realizing they're there. But either way, it is starting to get later. It is about 4:30 here. So I am going to call the live stream here. Uh, Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for chatting, and I hope you all have a good evening, or if it is not evening where you are, I hope you have a good night or good morning. And we'll talk to you all later.